Welcome back to Learn Water Skiing with Coop Diddy. Second episode.
Yep.
It's been a while. You've done a lot of awesome podcasts since. I'm interested to hear how it's been since I've been last on the mic.
Dude, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I think I've done maybe like 15 interviews or since we spoke last. It's been a lot.
That's
like
a lot.
if we count the ones that I published, the ones that I have back cataloged for the future weeks, which we won't spoil or anything, but they're good ones. It's been a cool experience, man. Just the sheer amount of excitement behind this from listeners, and honestly, gratitude from the guests. That has been the craziest thing, you know?
Has that been something like afterwards, or even like has that been something communicated to you throughout the podcast?
A bit of both, but especially afterwards. So like, I would ask some friends or some big names in the sport to, if they wanted to do the episode, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm so stoked, let's do it. Like, am I worthy? I'm like, yes, you're worthy, man. and then after the interview, a lot of them would just say it's been nice to have an outlet to talk about things, which surprises me still, but it goes to show how, in our sport we need more content, and so I'm trying to help.
Yeah, like fulfilling a need.
Yeah, pretty much.
When these guests have said that they appreciated the opportunity for an outlet to talk, was that more about the sport or their personal connection to the sport, or?
I would say more about them. They said it was cool to be able to tell their story. And I think podcasting leads to that very well, right? Like your long format, you just sit down and talk, just like we're doing now,
Right.
So I think that's mainly what has been like the ability and the venue to just tell their story, and I'm stoked to provide it to them,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got to talk to some cool people, man. The one that I just published was with Dane Meckler. We did 2 parts of Lake 38, sitting at the judges' tower.
It's awesome.
Just looking over the lake, flat water, and just talking about, his journey from Midwest, fellow Ohioan,
Ohioan,
yeah. To University of Louisiana Lafayette, to then last year being freaking top seed at the Worlds, at finals. Like, he was the last guy getting on the water at Worlds. Remember, we watched the Worlds together.
Yeah.
It was nuts,
Last one off the dock, right?
He was first in the prelims, so he was the last off the dock. I mean, you want to talk about sports psychology
No
and
doubt.
pressure?
Seriously. That's awesome.
So Dane and...
well, you had several that went 2 parts, right?
Yeah, Corey Vaughn, which we did 2 long parts, and honestly, we could have gone a 3rd one. The guy is just so eloquent, and some of the stories he told us from, rooming with a porn star wannabe to, being, he's among the best skiers in the world. He ran 41 off. So
that means he did all 6?
All 6 at 41.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
he's one of the few.
Wow.
10 in history, 10 or 11. I still have to check my math.
Yeah.
But
handful.
Yeah, just 2 hands, and so when you're amongst the best athletes in the world in any sport, you're on the WADA list. So a WADA agent can come at any time and test you for doping.
If you're run that back, if you're
in water skiing, I believe it's top 20 in the world.
You can just be tested at any point.
Any point, and you have to report where you are at all times. So you go to Mexico for 2 weeks, you gotta tell WADA that you're in Mexico for 2
Say
weeks.
What?
And they might show up and test you.
Wow.
And he has a story about that. It's funny, hysterical. So I had 42 parts.
Is that going, not to interrupt, but is that going on now with COVID-19?
I would imagine. I mean, maybe less, given that athletes can't really compete.
Right.
But I would imagine if you're on the WADA list, someone can still ring the bell at 6 a.m. and make you pee in a little cup,
What?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's top 20?
In water
so
skiing,
that
it's top 20.
fluctuates every year, depending.
Yeah. So
Is that a big, for someone that doesn't know, is there a big changes in that 20 every year, or is it pretty consistent? Like like in the NBA, this roughly the same 20 people are the top players in the
yeah,
NBA. Is that
yeah.
kind of how it is with water skiing? Or?
I would say if we consider the 6 events, so slalom, trick, and jump, men and women, I would defend that probably men's slalom is the one that has the most variance in terms of who's in the top, say 15 to 20,
Okay, the
or
last
10 to
five.
20, or like the last 10. Just
Okay.
because, just to give you an example, I can pull it up, but there were maybe 7 guys with an average of 3 of 41.
Wow.
And then the way it works is that, say the average is made of, say I have 3 and 3. They take your top 2 scores. So I say I have a 3 of 41 and a 3 of 41. My average is 3.
Okay.
Yours, say you have an average of 3 of 41, but your average is made by a 4 and a 2, then you're above me because your highest score is higher.
Because I got to 4.
You got to 4. So our average is the same, but your top score is higher, so you
Okay.
would be higher in the rankings. But I think there were like 6 or 7 guys, like 3 and 3, and then they have to go to the 3rd score
Oh,
and a
wow.
4th score. Yeah, men's slalom is really tight nowadays.
Does it ever come down to like a half or a quarter ball?
Oh yeah, on the 4th score.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, wow.
You know?
So maybe a run that you didn't even think would impact your score from a few months ago, or
Yeah, it's your 5th score, and now
Yeah.
it might be the difference between being 15th in the world or 17th in the world. That's how crazy it is nowadays.
that is crazy. It's
know?
like make every set count, make every run pass count.
Yeah.
So you never know.
No, it's men's slalom, and I mean women's slalom, especially last year. There's some girls that are pushing, like in women's slalom. There's Regina Jaquez, who's hands down the best in the world. And she has had.
Where's she from?
From the U.S. Originally from Georgia, lives in here in Santa Rosa.
Oh, okay.
Trains there.
Beautiful place to.
Oh yeah,
Train.
Absolutely. And there's been a woman like in the last 10 years. Her name is Whitney McClintock, who has been challenging her, and won worlds, beating Regina and stuff like that. But then there was this huge cap, meaning these 2 girls could run 39, and then the rest was 2, 3 at 39, 2, 3 at 39. And then Mano showed up, Freddie's girlfriend, and has been running 39s. And now there's this younger generation of girls that have been pushing to like 4 and 5 at 39, which is a highly competitive score.
Wow. Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 of them. So no, women's slalom has been exciting.
Good variance and
Good, yeah, absolutely.
but not as much in tricks and jump.
No, it's funny actually. You would love and hate what I did in the last 2 or 3 weeks because I was self isolating.
Right.
I pulled up all the top 10 ranking lists from 98 to 2019. So top 10 men's slalom, top 20 men's slalom, top 20 women's slalom, top 20 men and women trick, men and women's jump.
So you did it with all.
We all.
Okay.
And I took their averages, right? I took their ranking score, and then I did basically a line graph showing the level, right? So I did the top 20 average, the
Okay.
top 5 average
Of scores.
and
Okay.
the 16 to 20th average to see, kind of making some speculations about what's going on with water skiing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty revealing, and obviously it's all speculation. Like,
Right.
why did the world record in women's trick just jumped a lot in the span of 2 years? Or
did.
why it did. And I think, there it's actually one of the easy examples. I think it's primarily because women started to do more flips, and flips are highly rewarded tricks, and
Makes sense.
So yeah, no, it's that was one of the things I did well was self-isolating.
I like it. Numbers nerd.
Yeah, and I published them on Ball of Spray. It's like the most famous water ski forum, so I published them there.
Did you notice any patterns with slalom?
What I noticed is that in men's slalom, the difference, and we already knew this, but like the difference between the average of the top 5 and the average of the 16th to 20th in the world, it's so close.
So more and more competitive.
Yeah, that's what it tells me, right?
Yeah.
And then in the women, it was the 16 to 20 and the first to fifth were really away, and in the last 2 years they kind of, you know, and but then obviously they kind of got closer. But as a general path, the sport has been growing in level in slalom. In jump, kind of. In tricks, the top five have been increasing like crazy in women. That's a fun stat. In women, the top five have been increasing like crazy in terms of average of points. But the men has been kind of the same, the top five,
Kind of plateau.
kind of like almost a plateau. But then you look at the 16 to 20th, and the women have been almost plateauing to going down, and the guys have been going up, kind of reaching those top five.
Oh, wow.
You know, so it's an interesting, like the women, the top female trickers in the world are becoming insanely good, and the bottom, like 16 to 20th, which is still super high level, obviously,
Right,
but like
right.
they've been plateauing, almost going down. Whereas in tricks, in men's tricks, is the opposite pattern.
Interesting.
It's super interesting. It was a cool thing to do. You
Yeah.
know.
Good way to spend some of your time.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of podcasting, like interviews, you know, online, obviously, trying to be safe and be distant. But
Yep.
yep.
For sure. I'm interested of after 20. What's the gap like from 20 to 30, 20 to 40?
That's an interesting question. I haven't ran those numbers, but I can tell you that in men's slalom, I remember this specifically. In like about 10 years ago, with 3 F41 average, you were 7th in the world, 6th in the world, 8th in the world. Right now, you might be 20th.
Oh my goodness.
And I think in men's slalom, it kind of goes gradually. Like there's more people in the world that run 39 off. There's more people in the world that get past 2 ball at 41. Like men's slalom level is just bizarre right now.
What do you attribute that to?
It's a ever-ending question. I think better skis. Bob Lapointe gave an interview with Marcus, and he was saying how, you know, compared to the 80s or 90s, where it was kind of like almost a random draw that a ski would be good and a ski would be bad. Not even from different brands. I mean, that for sure, but also just from the same brand. Like the consistency of production wasn't there. Right now, a lot of the ski brands are doing good skis, and especially the ski production process has been much and much more refined to where two skis are almost the same, right? So that kind of brings consistency.
Right.
And then the speed control system with the GPS that actually, interestingly enough, in the data that I was telling you about, when Zero Off came out, so in 2009, the scores kind of plateaued in slalom and jump because the boat was now 36 miles per hour all the time, no matter what, right? But eventually, I think that brought the skiing level up because, again, it brought consistency.
Makes
Right.
sense, yeah.
So I think it's just like better equipment. Maybe slalom skiers understanding a bit more about this dark hole that it's slalom technique or how you should slalom.
I was wondering if it was a technique, if technique had anything to do with it.
With the improve of like with the many people running 39, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it stands out hugely in my mind right now as one of those reasons. You know. More and more people skiing on private water, which is a bad thing for the promotion of the sport because we're secluding ourselves from the masses, but it elevates the level, right? So, yeah, it's a tough question, that one.
Is it better to train on private, like, as compared to
Public water,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's more consistent, right? It's like having your own rack at a house or having to go to the university gym.
well, now you're speaking my language.
I know, I know. So, you know, like if you have your own rack, you know, you're going to do your series in an efficient time and, you know,
Right.
as opposed to maybe be able to do them because there's a fisherman that chopped some of your buoys or, you know, happens all the time.
What?
Yeah. Like,
Oh no.
you know, the Jolly Clinic I told you I do at home?
Yeah.
The guy that came to ski with us is from Philly, and he skis on a river.
Like Philly, where the Fresh Prince is from.
Yeah, that Philadelphia. Yeah, yeah.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. And basically, he told me, Matteo, like sometimes I show up, there's no course. You know,
What?
like either the river just snapped the cables or
Wow.
someone just chopped, just literally chopped the cable of the buoy.
Have you no respect?
Yeah, they have no respect for it. Oh,
That's terrible.
it's terrible, dude. Like public water skiing can be rough, and then it's also rough skiing wise because you have, choppy water, wind, other boats, navigation.
People going by in tubes.
Yeah, yeah, you got all sorts.
Tubers.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking, like, as far as deliberate practice
Yeah.
goes, where you practice a skill, a craft, and you might have to overcome obstacles, and that can make you better. Like I'm thinking of in South America, how they use, maybe it's not a soccer ball, but maybe it's something that's like a soccer ball. It's a little heavier, and they have to practice with this not ideal conditions, not ideal equipment, but it makes them sharper. It makes them better.
Yeah, yeah.
Is training on an open water, public, choppy, like I would think that
There is that argument. That if you are, particularly in your formative years, if you were growing up in like cold conditions, choppy water, not the best conditions, that makes you like a tougher skier.
right.
And I think the argument could be made in terms of like at the high level. Well, you might not even be able to reach the rope lengths that you need to train to be competitive at a pro tournament where the conditions are nice, right? So, I guess eventually it's like, okay, you can train with the ball that is heavier and whatnot, but eventually you have to try to get a goal. You have to have a goal post, right?
Right.
You have to train on grass eventually because you're going to be playing soccer matches on a pitch of grass.
Right.
So,
So are you saying, like, okay, you might be able to run 38 in choppy conditions,
yeah.
but you're not able to really practice 39 or 41. So when it comes to smooth, ideal conditions, you haven't practiced that, so
Yeah, exactly.
you might not be able to do it.
Yeah, there's a thing about the rope lengths that each they have their own kind of little bit of characteristic. So basically, you have to train them. You can't just say I'm gonna train a harder 39 because it's gonna make me better at 41.
That makes sense.
You have to try 41 eventually.
Right.
But there's a thing that could be said about training in the conditions that you're going to find, right? So say the worlds that we watched that were in Malaysia, open water, it was super rough.
Yeah.
An argument could be made that if you know that it's going to be like this, which everyone knew like 2 years before, you might want to train in a bit of rough water before, right? Like that argument is valid.
Yeah. But not to train all the time and learn in that kind of environment.
Exactly, because there's also a danger factor. You might get injured if the water is bad, right? You're more prone to fall. So yeah, it's
kind of makes it seem like maybe it's a little more of an extreme sport if you're in those.
Oh, we're going back to that. Yeah, I would say might make it look like it's a bit more extreme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the water's choppy and there's what looks like waves.
Yeah.
That you have to deal with.
And Malaysia, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm glad I wasn't there.
Really?
Like when I was watching the webcast with you, I thought.
Well, you were commenting on it a lot.
Yeah, well, it's my sport, right?
Right. Well, yeah, but it's just like, wow, look at that.
Yeah. No, it was just insane in my opinion.
And then didn't you say Mumbai is rough?
Mumbai is rough because it's on a river that can have current, that can have all sorts of things going on. Might have to stop the tournament because of navigation. And
what
also,
what do you mean?
Well, I mean, maybe there's a ferry that has to go through.
What?
Yeah,
in the middle of a tournament?
Yeah, they try to schedule it to where it's at certain times, so the tournament is obviously not running.
Yeah.
But then the river is weird, man. Like for some skiers it looks good, for some it's not as good.
Interesting.
It's Mumbai is strange place.
Is that the only place that's on a river, as far as a tournament?
Of the big ones that recur often, yes. But there have been other tournaments on rivers, but more and more rare, you know.
I see. So we were talking earlier about this idea of a senior.
Oh yeah, because that's the whole like
That's what's-
explain why we're in front of microphones.
Yeah, that's a good point because this is totally impromptu
Exactly.
podcast. We were just having a conversation, just talking about different things about skiing, different things about the sport.
Yep.
And I actually looked at you and said, we should be talking into the cans right now. Why don't we set up the mics?
And in 3 minutes, the
And here
mixer
we-
was on.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So you're getting up there in age, right?
Thank you.
I mean, you are a full 5 months older than me. So
I am 5 months older than
yeah,
you.
much
Imagine
older.
that.
And I think I might even see some gray in that beard.
There's some white.
I think more than when you went into self-isolation, by the way.
I don't know about that.
I think that self-isolation grayed you a little bit.
I didn't pluck the whites, yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, because I actually, like, secretly I would love to have a gray beard.
Oh, right.
And I've
but
heard
it's
that
gotta
if you
be-
pluck,
Oh.
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true.
Interesting.
But yeah.
So you're ready for the gray? I mean, don't
I would
wish
love the gray.
already.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not
Gray, fat beard. Yeah.
Yeah. I
That'd
mean,
be dope.
you'll have your whole life to look forward to that. You should enjoy the color while you have it.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, 4 years, you could be skiing the.
In senior category, yeah, or what they call 36, like over 35 or 36 plus. Yeah, so
Oh, so at 36, you're eligible.
yeah, the year that I turned 36, so in 4 years.
Yeah. And then, is there a more advanced, or is that it?
No, there's 36 plus, 46 plus, 56 plus,
Okay.
66 plus. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah.
And then there's tournaments for each.
There's tournaments. Yeah, generally they're in the same tournament. They have the different categories. Yeah.
And worlds for each.
So the senior worlds have all those categories. Yeah,
Very
it's a
cool.
big tournament.
Yeah, it's a lot. So, would you consider skiing any of those?
Okay, so that's what actually got us to the webcast, to the podcast, because I was arguing no,
Right.
And as of right now, I still stand to my thinking,
Right. Your convictions.
my conviction. Because the big thing, man, is that after 36, the boat slows down to 34 miles per hour.
So 2 miles an hour slower than
It's a different sport.
different sport.
It's a different sport.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's that big of a difference.
That's quite the assertion.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Just
think
2 miles an hour makes it a completely
Oh,
different.
for sure, for sure.
Well, I mean, as far as somebody that has never done this, it doesn't seem like 2 miles an hour would change it into a completely new sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're reaching the limits, right? Yeah, but it is look. The senior skiers would say the same
Yeah.
that I'm saying now.
Right.
It is it's so much different in terms of your equipment, but especially like how easier it is to run a pass at 34 miles per hour as opposed to 36 for men. Like at 34, you can still get away with a bit of power, a bit of
Like pulling against the boat.
yeah, you can suppress some of your technical deficiencies with a bit of like quickness and power. At 36 right now, you can't.
Okay.
You just have to be technically solid. Equipment must be dialed in. Like everything needs to be bam, bam, bam.
That makes sense.
You know,
Yeah.
and you just run way more buoys at 34. Which
Right.
I mean,
So, is there a record at 34 for like?
okay, so
Does anybody went 43?
yeah, catch this. I think you're gonna love it. So the first guy that ran 41 off at 36 miles per hour. So the first guy to ever run 41 off is Jeff Rogers,
Jeff and
American,
Okay, in 90s.
96.
Okay.
He was also the first guy to run 41 off at 34 miles per hour.
Nice.
Yeah, this guy is a trooper, man.
Wow.
I mean, Jeff, I don't know if you listen to the Water Ski podcast, I would love to have you in front of a microphone,
There you go.
you know? So, yeah.
Do you know what he's doing now?
Yeah. So he is super interesting story. Like the guy owns his own drilling business, and was owning that even at the time when he was skiing in the Pro Tour. The guy's world champ, huh? Like won the worlds.
And was doing this business on the side?
No, like together.
What?
The guy came a little bit late at the Worlds because he was working. And then he drove from North Carolina to Swiss to ski the Worlds.
Wow.
And won.
That's impressive.
The guy is unreal.
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 Does he still ski?
Still skis. Does some of the tournaments, like the senior tournaments that we're talking about.
There you go.
I know.
There you go.
I know. That's what I told you. The side of the argument against mine is that a lot of great skiers are now skiing what they call the big dog, which is essentially...
Ooh, the big dog.
You like that?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically those are they are cash prize tournaments for 36 and over that have a certain level. I don't know what level it is. I think they have to have like 4 or 5 at 39.
What do you mean? Like they have people that do that? That ski
I think
that?
to be part of that, you have to have skied at least a score of 4 or 5 at 39.
To be part of the big dog club.
To be part of the big dog tournaments, yeah.
Wow. Like, how could you say no to that?
I know, dude.
You know?
I know, yeah. It's
With
called
a name
big
like
dog.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to say no to.
But, yeah. I don't know. I just don't see myself going to 34 anytime soon. I love the
Well, you
challenge
still got
that
a
I
little
made.
more time.
Well, but I want more than 4 years.
Okay.
You know, like
yeah,
I
that's
want.
fair. But like, what a 50-year-old Matteo.
Well, listen, I talked to you about the Swiss water ski resort, the one in Claremont.
Yes.
That my buddy's dad owns now. He's 54. 54? Maybe, I think 50, at least 53, 54. Never skied at 34 miles per hour.
Ever.
I mean, maybe when he was 12.
Okay.
He's still skis at 36.
Wow.
Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, obviously he's skiing way less buoy than he used to.
Right.
For someone that, you know, he's from Switzerland, came to Italy a lot. I was looking up to him like mad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I saw him run one at 41 when I was like a kid. I was like, whoa, you know, like I want to be like Clint.
Yeah. An inspirational guy.
Oh, yeah, no, the guy, dude, you want to talk about passion? The guy, Clint is like...
Clint who?
Clint Stahlbauer.
Let's give him a shout out.
Oh, Clint, dude, I interviewed your son, your youngest son, a few days ago. You're next.
I like it. There you go.
But yeah, no, like he doesn't ski at 34.
I have so many questions about this.
Go on.
Okay, so first question is 36. I mean, you're obviously going fast. I mean, that's without saying. You're going faster.
Yeah.
2 miles an hour faster, you're telling me is very noticeable.
No, it's insane.
Insanely noticeable.
It's insane.
Okay, world of difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the choice when you're 54,
Yeah.
55 years old, to do 36 miles an hour, and you can do 3 at 39.
Yeah.
Or you can do 34 miles an hour, and you can do a couple at 41.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, they both sound sweet.
They're both
either
pretty
way,
sweet.
that's pretty. You're doing awesome. But like, which one? For me, I would think let's go 41. That seems like a big. Even though you're going a little slower.
Yeah.
Is that not the case?
Let me try to put it in your language.
Okay.
What can you bench right now? Let's say 6 reps.
You're putting me out there.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, let's do it. Like
6
6
reps. I'd feel comfortable putting out there. I could do like 250.
250. Okay. When you're 50, would you rather do 6 reps at 250 or 8 reps at 200?
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying. The math is a little off, but
Yeah, but you see
right.
what I'm saying.
I see what
yeah.
you're saying. Yeah, I mean, you're talking my language now.
I know.
get it. I'd rather do 6 at 250.
That's what I'm saying.
But that would be the same as doing what I'm doing now, which would be
True.
impressive. If
Well, then
they're
4 and
20
6.
some years ago.
4 and 6.
Right. If I could do 4 reps at 250, or I could do like 8 at 225.
Yeah.
Let's throw that 250 on there.
That's what I'm saying. Like the weight analogy is like the speed. Of course, there's a limit. It's not that we ski 38 miles per hour. That's
Right.
not the rule.
Right.
But I still want to see what I can do. And I mean, of course, I'm going to reach that point where I'm not going to be able to run as many buoys as I run now.
That's just obvious, right?
It's
That's
just obvious.
a-
Like, get a little slower,
Right.
a little weaker, whatever it is. But life gets in the way, whatever.
right.
Would I be willing to slow down the boat just to run the buoys that I used to run? I would feel a little bit like an imposter.
Wow.
That's kind of like what a lot of skiers feel, honestly.
That's interesting.
You know?
Well, see, and this is again just me being a novice.
Yep.
Not, I mean, we can get into me trying to slalom later if you want.
Absolutely.
Because remember, I was supposed to get back on the mic after I slalom skied.
Well, we tried.
Yeah.
We tried. We can
did.
get into that in a bit.
Right, but so my thought is, at 39, because we were watching that video, the guy was in the lake, or right with Andy.
Oh yeah, I showed you the Andy tribute by Marcus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was beautiful.
Oh my
and,
God.
And
Very emotional.
yeah, what very amazingly well done.
Yeah.
But he's in the lake and he's stretching out. He's showing like this is not even really humanly possible, and right. And
Oh, you mean when he's showing 41 off? Yeah.
right,
At
like
the end.
he's like stretching out and he's saying one guy's done it and Andy, and then he's got the other dude under the water.
Yeah, Jamie. Yeah.
And that aspect of you have to reach, right?
Yeah.
You have to have your timing, I'd imagine, basically perfect.
Dialed in. Yeah.
I mean, because you're making up for the length of the rope. The rope's not there anymore to
Exactly.
get you around this buoy.
Exactly.
That would still be the case at 41 going 34 miles an hour, right?
Yes, but the course would come slower. I think. Have you ever played Tetris?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that in Tetris, as you go high in levels, the pieces come down way faster,
What a
right?
beautiful analogy, yeah.
So it just came now. Like,
Yeah.
so 41 is still 41. So making the Tetris, like the 4 lines, is still hard. But one thing is at a level 5, one thing is a level 25, where the pieces are just flying.
Right.
And that's the difference between the speeds, is that the course just comes faster. So your precision has to be way more dialed in at 36 than at 34, right?
Completely.
And that's why I'm saying if you make some mistakes, you can suppress with a bit of strength. So the ski sinks a bit more. You can kind of power it up. But
And you said quickness.
quickness, whereas at 36, you just can't do that anymore. Like with boats that have 420 horsepower, like the speed is kept consistent by a GPS system with 20 satellites. Like there's no
20
way.
satellites.
It's crazy, man.
What?
Like
In
the-
the sky?
Yeah, basically the thing is communicating with 20 satellites at the time to
Wow.
keep the speed at 36.0 at every single foot of the slalom course.
Even though you're back there pulling
pulling
back
like
at it.
mad, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, it's 2 different sports.
So when you say when you're back there at 34, you can compensate with power, strength, quickness.
To a certain degree. Obviously, you have to be a very good skier, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but the gap is crazy.
But I would argue that 20 years from now, those are the exact attributes, power, quickness, strength, that you're going to lose from age, from, getting older. And
Yeah, no, for sure.
so seems like that would, it's almost like in golf. They have a senior tour, right?
Yeah.
And they just start the seniors a little closer to the hole.
Yeah.
Because they know they don't have the power that they had back when they were playing on the PGA Tour,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's just so complicated. Like, I mean, I'm not, shall I say, hypocritical to say that I'll never do it, right?
And you're not dissing people that do it,
No.
right? Right.
No. I'm dissing people that do it too quickly.
Oh,
You know?
Okay.
So at 50, it's a completely different story than at 36
Right.
years old.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, it's
So you mean like you jumping in there in 4 years and being like, yeah, I'm here to take the title.
at 34.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see that. I don't
Right.
see that.
Right.
You know, Because there's also a lot of amateur skiers in those senior tournaments. Not skiers like myself who has been skiing since he's 7 and competed all his life. It's a bit strange.
So you feel like you're taking away the shine from some of these?
Yeah, I think so.
How many of the older crew just started in their early?
Yeah, 20s,
20,
a lot of them.
That's cool.
And I think it's awesome. It's one of the great things about water skiing.
Right.
Dude, you could pick up, like, I know we skied a couple of times,
Right.
but if you were to pick it up now, like, say, like Yo-Yo, who's skiing, picked up skiing 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He's 22. He's a bit younger than us, but, the guy could be ending up running 38 off in 15 years.
For
at
sure.
36.
Yeah, if he keeps practicing,
If
right?
he keeps practicing.
Yeah.
And the cooler part is that he's going to be able to ski for his whole life.
Definitely.
This is a sport that you can do forever.
Right.
So it's just so cool. You can start young kids at 2 years old, 3 years old, just to ski behind the boat, and you have 80 years olds running the course, turning buoys, like.
What, 80-year-old slalomers?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
That's sweet.
What's
the oldest person you've had on your podcast so far, do you think?
That's a random question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably Keith. Keith is 65. 65.
You don't look 65.
I know, dude. Imagine looking like him at 65.
That'd be awesome.
I'll
That's a win.
I'll give a kidney right now.
That's a win
if
for
they
sure.
guarantee me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Keith. Yeah.
And he slaloms.
He rips, buddy.
Yeah.
So he got into a new age category, so 65 plus. So he's actually slowed down to 32 miles per hour.
Okay, so it's not at 36, it's 34 miles an hour.
Yeah.
46, it's not 34.
No, it's still 34.
Or 32.
No.
And then it doesn't get slower each.
So
10
36,
years.
46, 56 is 34 miles per hour, and then 56 women they slow down to 32, and then 66 or 65 plus men to 32 as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And could somebody that's in the 60-year-old category ski in the 50s if they wanted, or 40s?
Yeah, they could.
Okay.
They could. Just as when I'll turn 36 or I'll be 37, I'll still ski at 36 miles per hour.
Right.
Yeah.
You get the
could.
option.
Yeah.
So when you turn, let's say 41, and you're like, not feeling as good as I used to in my younger days.
Yeah.
It's time to go dominate the older folk a little bit. When you do
Okay.
the 36 and up, you're not taking any shine necessarily away from somebody that's 50.
No, but I mean taking shine away from someone who's 42, 41,
Right.
who, just started running some buoys at 39
True.
and never did before,
True.
It's a bit strange,
I understand.
And I understand that eventually I might end up doing it,
Yeah.
but
You think it's good for the sport?
that I'm not going there,
Yeah.
I just want to think it is.
Yeah.
To me, those categories are amateur,
Right. Oh, okay.
And if you're a pro, and then you say, okay, and a lot of my friends,
Yeah.
I have friends that did that jump.
Yeah.
They're gonna hate me after this audio, But right now, I feel like that.
You're just keeping it real.
Yeah, I know I am.
Yeah.
I am.
I was just thinking how cool it would be if, when the time comes, it's like you, Freddie, Dane, you're all just, skiing, getting world championships at the...
Walking with a crane to the dock.
Yeah,
What's up, buddy? The good old days in Tallahassee.
Right. I mean, it seems like it would be good to keep the names in the sport competing,
Yeah, you can. I see both sides.
Yeah.
I see both sides.
Could you do both? Could you do the 30, like when you're 39? Could
Yeah.
you ski 36 miles an hour and do like double
34?
dip?
I think there's a rule in the big dog that you love that
I
name,
love
don't
it.
you?
Yeah, I do.
That you can't ski big dog if you've skied a pro tournament in the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
There's some rule like that, you know,
Okay.
which I think is good.
Yeah.
It goes back to what I was telling you
Right.
before, about not taking the shine away and make it even field.
Yeah.
But yeah,
See, it seems like there's already these rules in place for,
That's true. That's true.
you know,
But they are not for a world championship.
what's
For a
that? What?
For a world championship, I could ski at 38. I could ski open worlds, like the real, like the real is mean, I know, but yeah, the real worlds, like the open world championship,
Right.
the one we watched.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, I could go and ski the senior worlds.
Oh, you could do that. Okay.
Be weird.
Yeah.
Be weird. You know.
I mean, if you won both though, you'd have both those trophies up on your mantle. Like, look, I just dominated.
Yeah, that's true.
The whole year.
True. And I don't know that I would want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, why don't we talk about your set?
Oh gosh.
Let's go back in time, because it was actually not too far after the first episode of the Learn Water Skiing with Coop Diddy.
Not at all. I mean,
It's pretty close. Maybe a month later, a month and a half later.
And we had been talking. We talked about it almost every day, every weekend.
That's true. Remember those pre-COVID days where we were busy and going
like
around?
having to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, what happened? You tell the story.
Well, I went out first time on the lake in years to ski.
Over 10 years, no, way over 10 years.
Way over a decade, and it was actually, I want to say it was the beginning of 2020. I want to say it was January.
I know, you're right.
Because I didn't even ski any of the last decade. I was like, wow, I'm skiing more in this decade that's a week old than I did the whole last decade.
Yeah. You had my wetsuit on. Yeah. We fought for it.
It was like, that was a cool experience, skiing in January, first of all.
Yep.
Like,
Welcome
anybody
to
out
Florida.
there yeah, exactly. Anybody out there in that cold weather, you know what I'm talking about right now.
Yep.
So, and I thought it was going to be cold, and with that wetsuit, very impressed.
Yep.
Yeah. I got up on 2 skis right away. That was fun.
Yeah, true.
It was good. It was good times. You know, you was already correcting some of my form, though. You know, I was kind of hunched over. You was getting me ready.
Yep.
And
got in and out the wakes, no problem.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It makes me want to get back out there.
We'll do it.
Yeah. And then it came time to decide about one ski.
Yep.
So the discussion was, should I kick one off or should I let's get out of the water with one? And I said, let's just do it. Let's get out of the water with one. Let's get right to it. And I gave it hell.
Yep.
Several times. I don't know. How many times would you?
I think we tried about 10 times.
Yeah.
Dozen times, something like that.
Yeah. I kind of saw the boat once when I got up.
Yep.
A little bit, but face planted, I think, that time.
Yep.
Never made it up with one ski.
Yep.
So.
And we changed strategy, right? We were trying to start with 2 feet in,
That's
and then
true.
you have a bit of a lower back issue, and that wasn't really the best. And so we tried 2 or 3 times to start with your foot out of the kicker.
Correct.
And then eventually, once you got it up, put it back in.
Right. Which was an awesome switch.
Yeah,
awesome
and I think, honestly, if we do it tomorrow, you're going to get out. You know?
Think so?
Oh, for sure. Like, if you think about it, we tried it 2 or 3 times, and those 2 or 3 times were much better than the ones before.
And by then, honestly, my back was pretty trashed.
Yeah.
From trying to do it, like, hunched over and with both feet in.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, next time we'll get you out, man.
Let's do it. But, I mean, the coolest, obviously, skiing again was a blast.
Yeah.
Even if it was with both feet, both skis.
Yeah.
The coolest thing, though, from that whole experience was sitting in the boat watching you shred.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That was tight.
Yeah, that's true.
Was tight.
It was the first time you rode in the boat for, like, some high-level skiing, no?
It was, yeah. And it was funny because it was getting late. Some other people had skied, and, like, my back was just, like I said, it was hurting. I was just kind of like, I'll just stand here. And you said, get your ass in the boat. You're going to get in, you're going to watch. And I'm so glad.
That was Keith. I mean, I told you to get in the boat, and Keith must have said something along the lines of, come on,
Yeah, right. And Chad.
Chad was there, yeah.
Yeah. And it was, dude, it was unreal.
Annie, your fiance. Oh, yeah, because in the meantime, you got engaged, no?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Congrats,
February
buddy.
2nd. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. 02/02/2020, so I'll never forget the date.
There you go.
Yeah.
Smart man. Smart man.
But yeah, we were just Annie and I both. We
Yeah, you
were
both rode. Yeah.
we were both astounded.
Astounded.
Yes, I mean it was. Well, I mean, back to the whole idea of, you know, my bit that you chose of the extreme sport.
Yep.
That seemed very extreme to me, sitting in the boat, watching you whip it around. I could feel the tug of you when you turn, you know, in the boat. Like,
Yep.
it was noticeable.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, from, again, you pulling G's and then...
That's what a lot of people say, because by the time you had watched some webcasting, you've seen, you know, shots. But a lot of people say there's nothing like riding in the boat, watching some skiing for the first time. You know, it just shocks you as like...
And I would say more than some. I've watched more than some skiing.
Oh, no, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
in these recent months...
I exposed you to some freaking skiing.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I mean... we were just talking a couple hours ago, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that tournament that was in Milwaukee," and you're like, "Coop."
Yeah, I was proud of you,
You know,
man.
you're getting
You know
to
the history of the Malibu Open.
You're getting to
you
know
like,
some skiing, man.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, even with all that, even with seeing all that, and it
Just
was
riding,
it was
yeah.
another world.
Yeah, because you came, that's true, you and Annie came to watch the fall tournament at Lake 38. So you got to
Correct.
see some high-level skiing from the shore.
Yes,
Which is already cool.
it was very cool.
But I think in the boat is another story, isn't it?
There's no thinking about it. It's
Yeah.
if you're out there and you haven't had the chance and you can get in the boat and watch somebody like Matteo ski, I mean, you gotta take. I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stop. I mean, you was probably ready to. You skied
Yeah.
a couple round, sets. So you were.
Yeah, I
or
did.
Not even sets.
Yeah, I
but
did like 6 passes,
Yeah.
I think, and then went in, yeah.
It was getting late, but that made it so nice too. The sunset.
Yeah, it's the fascination of the outdoor sport, you know,
It's
like
magical.
water, nature. There's something special about this sport.
Definitely.
I mean, a lot of things, but one of them being, you know, like a sunset. And then the weirdest ones are the sunrise sets, which those are a little rough, you know, like
Right.
5:30 a.m., you know.
You do a lot of those.
No, luckily no, but like for photo shoots sometimes, you know, to get nice pictures for like a magazine or a catalog, you wake up early, sunrise, and you have to be on your game because, you know, you have photographers in the water, like...
Do you still try to do what you normally would as far as no?
No.
You're skiing
going
like
32 off.
okay.
Maybe the boat even a little slower. You're trying to look good. You're trying to get the shot, you know.
No, you still look good. Weren't you going 36 when I was watching you?
Oh, yeah, no, but I mean...
You still look good.
No, for sure, but, you know, in terms of like...
He said for sure.
in terms of like, you know, like looking magazine, great picture where you're not, your
Right.
face is not like, you know, like
Right.
I'm about to turn, you know, a buoy
Right.
at 39 or something like that.
Instead, you're going a little slower.
A little slower, longer line for my level and just trying to look good. Also for safety.
Right.
Because sometimes the photographer is so close, is in the water, in between the boat and the turning buoy. So in between the boat and the skier, in the water with the camera.
So you can tell they're there. You see them.
Oh yeah, you see them. Yeah. And it can obviously, if you fall, it can become dangerous for them too, because then the rope might.
True.
You know, so it's also a safety issue.
That makes
you know.
sense.
So, which brings me to say, for you guys out there that want to take water ski pictures, and I interviewed Thomas Gustafsson, one of the best photographers in toad sport. I'm gonna repeat what he said. If you're inexperienced, do not take inside the buoy shots. You know, there's a plenty of great shots that you can take from the shore or from the boat.
From the shore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because I'm thinking of the course. You have the three buoys on one side, 3 on the other.
Yeah.
Could you just be right outside the buoy? Or is that dangerous too? Because
You
might come around?
could, but like say the skier falls, you know, like
Right.
yeah, outside is certainly safer than inside the course. That's for sure.
Right.
You know,
But sometimes people are inside the course.
for photo shoots, yes,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit distracting.
it is. Which is why you want to ski with a pass that you're comfortable at, that you know it's safe, you know, all of that stuff.
Have you ever tried to, when you go around and they're taking a picture of you, you kind of give them just like a little wink?
Well, that's actually an issue because you know you're supposed to look, you know, forward as if you were skiing. And I remember actually with Thomas Gustafsson, this photographer, the first time I shot with him, I kept looking at him and he kept screaming, "What are you doing? Keep looking where you're supposed to,
Oh, nice. Like, make it look natural.
And then you try to smile and you look weird,
Yeah.
So like, there's all of that.
I see Freddie giving him a wink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's that kind of dude.
Yeah, he might give you a little point and a wink. That'd be
That's a lot of swag,
for sure.
Yeah.
Freddie brings the swag though.
He's a swag guy, in his own British way,
Right.
a little bit of swag. But what I love is that he's your #1 fan.
I'm speechless and honored.
Because I'm gonna have to admit, as I predicted, our episode, I had a little bit of backlash.
It's putting it nicely.
Yeah, like some people were like, "Oh, who's this guy? Swearing, blah blah blah."
Right.
And then a lot of people loved it. And the guy that loved it the most and been telling me get Coop back on the mic is Freddie.
It's the swag.
Former world champ, man. I mean, the guy
That's what I'm
is
saying.
Masters
Honored.
champ.
Yeah. It's
Coop
pretty
Diddy,
incredible.
#1 fan.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah. All right. What else? What else do you want to know about water skiing?
Well, I think with the times, with this coronavirus going on,
Yeah.
COVID-19, I'm just wondering how this is impacting. I guess we'll start with you personally, as far as obviously within the sport,
Yeah.
and then I guess at a bigger picture, how this is impacting the sport as a whole.
Yeah. So, well, me personally, obviously here in Tallahassee, I've had a fortunate situation to where Keith it's his home. He's still been able to pull skiers. Obviously, we've been taking bigger precautions. But I was one of the fortunate ones that could still ski.
Right.
And then, as you know, like, because we live together, a little over 2 weeks ago, I started to have some weird symptoms. So I left the house and I self-isolated myself for 2 weeks. So I haven't been able to ski. And then when I moved back home on Sunday, I'll have to self-isolate for 2 more weeks.
Man.
And obviously here in the U.S., it kind of goes state by state, but a lot of states are not allowed to ski. There's a full lockdown, let's say California.
Right.
So unless you have a house on a lake and, you don't get to go.
Access,
yeah, exactly. Right. But at a bigger picture, there's no tournaments allowed right now. Worldwide, I would say. I know the USA Water Ski Association interrupted any event until May 17th, and the rumor is that obviously they're going to extend it further.
Right.
The Masters have been postponed to a to be defined date. And
it's just to be determined.
to be determined, yes.
Wow.
There are rumors about September, but I don't think anything has been officialized yet. The Junior Worlds, this year there were the Junior Worlds here in Santa Rosa.
Oh, wow.
Supposed to happen in August. Those were postponed to 2021.
Oh, they already said not happening this year at
Yeah.
all. Wow.
So there's a lot of questions about whether there's going to be a season at all. As you know, we canceled our pro event in Italy.
Right.
Another site canceled it. I mean,
Wisely so.
I think so. Yeah. So I think if there is going to be a pro season, it's going to be a few, maybe a handful or a little less pro tournaments here in the U.S. September, October.
Wow.
That's what it's looking like, and it sucks.
How are you handling that?
It's tough, man. I'm not skiing the best. So in a sense, I'm not really grieving that yet. But as I'm starting to ski better, of course, I'm a competitor. I want to go out and show what I can do and be on a podium, win some money, But it's tough.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I know, fully the whole sport, but it seems like there's a community aspect to skiing.
Big time.
That's what I was picking up on, especially from listening to some of your podcasts, listening to some of the stuff Marcus has done.
Yeah.
Right? Just it seems like it's a community.
Big time.
How is that affecting you? I mean, I know you obviously want to be a competitor. You want to go out and you want to compete. Like you said, win some money. Right?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That'd be cool. But I mean, is the community aspect of it, the fact that it's not, might not happen this summer, does that impact you at all?
Well, yes. I mean, it impacts me financially because, as you know, we have a ski school,
Right.
and we won't be able to have the dock full of skiers chatting it up, giving each other a bit of shit before a set, you know,
Right.
like the cool stuff that happens at a ski lake,
Yeah.
because we might not be able to operate. And even if we will be able to operate, which we're hoping that will happen, we won't be able to have as many skiers, as
Oh,
many
wow, that's
people
true.
on site just to be able to keep distancing. It's going to be, you know, I think as people, news media, like the new normal is going to be a bit different than what we used to.
Definitely.
And that's going to certainly impact the water skiing community. It is now because people are kind of locked and not being able to move, but certainly in the future is going to impact the skiing community as well. Now, the lucky thing about skiing is that we're not a contact sport.
True.
So we are one at a time, you know. So in a sense, it'd be easier to practice distancing and kind of avoiding spread of viral disease, you know. Like in that sense, we're a bit luckier than say basketball,
Where you're all
or
touching the same
you touch-
basketball, right?
You're close, you know.
That too.
You can't really do 8 feet apart defense, you know.
No,
What's that?
Right.
So soccer, American football, I think all these contact team sports, you know.
Well, I'm thinking about equipment too. You know, equipment, sports like basketball, football, you're touching the same equipment.
Yeah.
But with skiing, you could avoid that, right?
Yeah, you could. You could. Like you have your own ski, you have your own handle. The rope would be the only thing that the skier and the boat crew would touch. But if you keep the same rope for everyone, then only the boat crew touches it.
So that's good.
So that's good.
Right.
No, and generally a lake is a wide area, so you could keep distant. You know, like
Right.
I think in a sense we're way more fortunate than other sports, but certainly it has impacted the skiing community. You know.
Just like it's impacted all communities.
Oh, for sure,
Right.
for sure.
But so if they were to have tournaments, they would be able to have these tournaments with some social distancing guidelines and be able to stay safe.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what would have to happen. One of the things that has been going on that it's pretty cool is that there's a very famous Instagram account called Water Ski Nation.
Water Ski Nation?
Yes, it's run by Greg, this guy from France who really like cool ambassador of the sport.
Give him a shout.
Oh, Greg, he's gonna be on the podcast soon.
Oh, nice.
So you know, he's the guy that had organized all our pro tournaments in Europe into a tour with points. I think I
that's
told you
sick.
about
Yeah,
it. Yeah, it's
yeah.
him. So he organized this thing where he did a virtual head-to-head tournament amongst 8 pro skiers on Instagram Live.
Whoa.
So you know, on Instagram Live, you can have 2 people chatting.
Right.
And so you would have one camera, you know, with say Dane in one lake, and another camera with Sasha in another lake, and they would head-to-head live.
What?
Super cool.
That is a great idea.
It's a great idea. And then there's other things like there's a new app that is about to come out to do virtual water ski tournaments and virtual sport tournaments in general. I won't give too much detail because this episode will come out soon. I interviewed the founder of that company. Now the ski community is a very dynamic community, so people are trying to find ways to still compete and still, you know, push their limits.
Love it.
You know, it's super cool.
And stay connected.
And stay connected, I would say. Yeah.
Because that's super important right now.
I don't know if you saw some of the Instagram Live that me and Parrish did. We've been meeting 3 or 4 times on Instagram Live, just chatting about skiing, answering skiers' questions, you know,
that's
just
awesome.
trying to keep the conversation going.
Right.
You know?
Because a lot of people are missing that.
Oh,
right now.
man. I mean, I speak to my friends from home every day, and they're like so itchy to ski. And obviously, in climates where the winter is cold, now is the perfect time because that everyone, you know, is scratching like,
Got that
okay, it's
itch.
getting warm, it's getting
Right.
warmer, I can go to the lake, I can ski. And
Leaves are changing.
you know, exactly, but not now.
Ugh.
You know, it's rough.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's quite rough, but it'll pass.
Yeah, and it's promising too, like you said, that it's a sport that can continue.
Yes. Where like
Because it's set up for that.
wakeboarding, water skiing, wake surfing, like all these towed sports are in a better position than other sports.
Right.
You know.
Are the like tricks and jumps same? Like you wouldn't need somebody else around?
No, they're the same. In tricks, you have the coach in the boat that pins you, particularly when you're doing toes. Like if you fall, there's a rope release. So basically, the coach is holding you,
Holding the rope?
not the rope, the towing rope, but like another piece of rope. And if
Okay.
you're falling, the coach lets go of the pin rope, and you fall with the rope attached to your foot so that you don't get injured.
Gotcha.
But that would be that second person in the boat that you would
Right.
need to have in the boat anyway for safety reasons.
Nice.
So no, I think all three events would be able to be, safe in that regard.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
That's good. Great for the sport.
for
and,
sure.
And great for people. I mean, people need release. People need an outlet right now. So.
Absolutely. I was talking with Nicholas, my best friend from home, my coach son, and he kind of gave me a comment a few days ago. He said, being able to ski right now psychologically would be really good.
Oh,
Because you got to remember, people have been closed in their homes for a month and a half.
Yeah.
Just going out for groceries with all the scare of getting infected.
Oh my
So just being
gosh.
able to turn a buoy, going through the wakes at fast speeds,
Yeah.
feeling the G forces,
You're getting the itch right now. I can tell.
Yeah, I am.
You got that little twinkle in your eye talking
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
true. That's true.
And so you were self-isolated for over 2 weeks,
Yeah, 2 weeks and a couple of days. Yeah.
right? So you obviously didn't ski any during that time.
Yeah.
And you're going to be going home next week,
Yep.
a week from today, and you won't be skiing for those 2 weeks.
Right.
So you have this little couple days where it's like, what should I ski or should I not ski?
Yeah, that has been the dilemma. I think I'm leaning more towards that I will ski at least a couple of sets before I go home.
And I just want everyone to know this is very different than what he said yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday I was at the lake. I went to say hi to Keith and the gang,
Yeah,
and I didn't feel like skiing.
right.
But then you watch Lake 38, perfect freaking paradisiac water ski lake. I was like, tomorrow I might have to strap the ski on and go for some turns,
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think getting a set in, getting some skiing in would be good for you psychologically, or would it be like a tease?
I feel like it would be more of a tease. I miss it. I want to ski.
Yeah.
But then you also want to be able to continue to ski.
Right.
But I know that also sounds a bit pretentious, because the times are what they are.
Right.
So just the fact that I'm able to ski, if I want to, I should,
Right.
kind of,
And it's almost like if you do, which you will this week,
Right.
you should do it for the homies that can't.
That's kind of what I'm thinking,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Everybody at home that's telling you, like Nicholas, and
Yeah, that's true.
like do it for them.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I don't know, dude. What else? Anything else?
I don't know how long we've been going.
I think about an hour. I think we might
That's
keep it a little
good.
shorter
Yeah.
this time,
Yeah,
What do you think?
I think it was fun, man.
Good?
Yeah,
I'm glad we got to do it. I love how
I
it
know.
was spontaneous.
very.
Turn on the
impromptu.
mics, man.
Yeah, like this should be recorded right now.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to thank you, right now, and for a lot of reasons. Well, first of all, because you and your fiance now have been welcoming me for months, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Of course.
But especially thank you for reminding water skiers that are listening to this that for as much as we keep saying that there's more water skiers out there than we know, which is I think is true, a lot of people have questions about the sport. And I think our chats kind of like, in some way bring us those questions that a non-skier
Right.
would have,
Yeah.
But definitely someone that I guess just by virtue of living with me became interested about the sport.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And,
Thank you.
And very impressed with
Thank you.
the sport and with your performance.
Cheers, buddy.
specifically. Yeah, man.
yeah, so
Sure.
thanks for doing this.
I just hope that people get something out of it, and if not learning, then some enjoyment, some entertainment.
Yeah, it's important nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
That's very important, So thanks again.
Yeah, man. Thank you.